everyone. Welcome. We are One Mountain, Many Paths, where our mission is what Barbara Marx Hubbard and Dr. Marc Gafni call the planetary awakening in love through a unique self symphony. Together, we declare that the last day of the old face of evolution is honored as the first day of the new face of creation. I'm Christina Tehel, the co-executive producer, along with Krista Josefa, and we are so delighted to be here with each and every one of you today. We welcome you to week 245 of our weekly broadcast. Use the Zoom or Facebook chat function to say hi, to let us know where you're from, and to resonate the Dharma. On Zoom, check that your chat settings say all panelists and attendees, and not just all panelists. In One Mountain, Many Paths, we are connected, we are whole, and we are expressions of the entire process of creation. We are activating a new humanity, and we are awakening as a new species, Homo Amor, the fulfillment of Homo sapiens. We weave together the knowledge and wisdom from religion, spirituality, and science to articulate a global ethos for a global civilization. Welcome home, everyone. We are strengthening this evolutionary we space in so many ways. For instance, next Saturday, we gather again for our monthly evolutionary dance party on Zoom at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Central European time with our fantastic DJ Wimmer. For more information, go to onemountainmanypaths.org. We especially want to welcome right now friends of Barbara Marx Hubbard. Thank you for joining us. We are ever more grateful to honor Barbara and her joining genius with Dr. Marc Gafni. Do check out also the new Barbara Marx Hubbard course called Gateway to Conscious Evolution that is being shared right now as a link in the chat box here on Zoom. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/One Mountain Many Paths to get inspired by the great clips and member activities posting there each and every week. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at One Mountain Many Paths and share our clips with your communities. We are streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook right now. So if you are listening on one of those platforms, you are also welcome to join us on Zoom. If you are on Zoom, copy either of the links from this Zoom chat box and share those links on your favorite social media channels. With that, I give you what to expect today. We begin with a Dharma recap from last week, and afterwards, Dr. Mark sets our intention. Then David resonates the evolutionary love code that we're working with. We move into prayer, then evolutionary sermons with Dr. Mark, and today also from Barbara Marx Hubbard. And then at the end, Krista invites us to commit our outrageous acts of love, to contribute our gifts to this revolution, and to step into membership, leadership, and to play our unique instrument in this unique self symphony. Mark wrote what he called evolutionary love codes. Mark and Barbara studied the codes together, often comparing them to Barbara's own 52 codes for conscious self-evolution. These codes grow out of their radical commitment over 100 collective years, crystallizing the new story of humanity, quote, evolving the course of consciousness and culture, which is the source code of love, unquote. Each communion is a standalone, and every week's communion builds on the week before. One Mountain, Many Paths is radically committed to telling the new universe story. Now, for our Dharma recap from last week. Desire, need, and evolution, our new shared story, the intimate universe. Reality is the self-organizing universe. It's an innate quality in evolution. It's the thing itself. Reality is moving towards ever more love, ever more intimacy, and ever more wholeness. Reality is this self-organizing universe that needs our service. What could our service be to the self-organizing universe of the entire billions and billions of galaxies? We face two existential risks: the potential death of humanity itself, and even if humanity were to survive, the death of our humanity. We need a new story that's equal to our power. That's a new story of communion. That's a new story of desire. If we don't have a common story, we can't be intimate with each other. If we can't be intimate with each other in a world of mass communication, nanotech, biotech, infotech, exponential nanotech and infotech and biotech, we create the same self-terminating reality that's destroyed all previous civilizations. When a global civilization self-terminates through exponential technology, it's the end. There's no future. Our common story is a new universe story that brings together science and spirit in a new integration, interior science and exterior science, and answers and addresses the questions of where are we? Who are we? What's our universe story? The mysteries are within us. We are evolution in person. Every muon, quark, hadron, atom, and molecule in all of evolution lives in us. Desire drives evolution. Desire is always a desire for more intimacy. Intimacy means you feel me, I feel you feel me, feeling you, I feel you, feeling me. Intimacy is the impulse of evolution within us, desiring. It's the self-organizing universe within us. The way the self-organizing universe inside of us expresses itself is as our deepest heart's desires. It's unique in everyone and needed by everyone, through everyone, for the universe. When you say yes to it, you find it. The universe is participatory. God cries with us. We can address the global challenges. We have coherence. We have a shared story. The universe feels, and the universe feels intimacy. Intimacy equals shared identity. We're unique, but we share identity. We're part of the same musical score. It's the equivalent of E equals MC squared in the exterior sciences. The physics of what it means to be a human being. The interior magic of reality. To be intimate with reality, to share identity with reality, to know we are evolution in person, not extra, but uniquely needed to live in social synergy and intimacy, and to desperately care and desperately partner with each other with radical joy, with evolutionary wholemates in the mad love of unique self-symphony. We're embodied. We know that which opens up all the gates is that we are outrageous lovers, that reality at its core is a love story, and that we are incarnations of the amorous cosmos. With that, I invite us to more deeply enter into the holy and sacred space of one mountain, many paths, and I turn my word to you, beloved Dr. Marc Gafni.
Thank you, Christina Tehel, Christina Amlon. Beautiful, right? Gorgeous, everyone. I mean, good morning and happy Father's Day. It was Father's Day a week ago in Europe. It's Father's Day today in America, right? The blessings of the Father. And we're going to talk today about the blessing of the Father. So Dharma recap, this recapitulation of the Dharma. And I really want to invite everyone to step into the Dharma recap this week and in every week at a whole new level. Christina Amlon takes the exact quotations, the exact words that we used in the Dharma the week before, and then weaves them together in a new order, finding, right, the key sentences and the key order, and then moving them through Christina Amlonness, right? Through reality being Christina, right? Through unique self. And when they come through unique self, then you feel the new energy of that person who's sharing, right? Who's participating in the words, who's transmitting the words because we're living them. We're searching for the words, friends. In this generation, we're searching for the words, and the words are searching for us. We need a new language. We need a new grammar. And our commitment in response to existential and catastrophic risk on the one hand, which is the crisis, and crisis is an evolutionary driver. And our crisis is a birth. Our crisis is a birth. Right? That phrase that my beloved evolutionary wholemate, Barbara Marx Hubbard, loved to say, our crisis is a birth. And our crisis has to birth new language. And we're at the end of a 3-week special section of working together with beloved Barbara, talking about desire and need evolution. And this is our 3rd week, and then we're gonna start a new series. But one of the things that brought Barbara and I together was this yearning to create a new field of language. We call it, in formal thought, a terministic screen, right? In a new field of language, a new grammar of value actually creates a shared story. A story is made out of sentences and paragraphs. And at a moment in which we're facing this existential and catastrophic risk, when we desperately need global coherence, because every single challenge is a global challenge, and we're unable to generate global coherence in something as simple as dealing with a relatively mild pandemic, or even its new strains, the Delta strains and others, we can't actually get shared global coherence because we're living in the midst of a global intimacy disorder. And that global intimacy disorder is the natural expression of a failed story at the center of culture. And that failed story is a story in which the human being is but a separate self, and human relationships are rivalrous conflict, success story, governed by win-lose metrics. Every department of government, between governments, between states, between countries, within families, within teams, it's all win-lose metrics at its very core. It's a source code structure. I shine because you're dimmed. If my light shines, your light has to be dimmed. It's a fundamental win-lose metrics. And as long as we're in a win-lose metrics, as long as we don't actually overcome the global intimacy disorder and realize that actually it's win-win-win. My friend, right, who was the board chair of the Center for Integral Wisdom for 4 or 5 years, John Mackey, right, who's also the chair of Whole Foods, wrote a very good book called Conscious Leadership. And he's not talking about the the structures of cosmos. He's talking about it at a organizational, pragmatic level, right? How do you actually run a company that works, right? And he understands intuitively, right? Only win-win-win. That's the core of his book. Only win-win-win works. But the reason, and John's absolutely right, and it's a great book, by the way. The reason win-win-win works, though, is because it's not merely pragmatic. It's not functional, technical. It's because we actually are all already friends. It's because there are no strangers. It's because we do live in an intimate universe, and reality is a love story, and it is an amorous cosmos. And in order to actually overcome the global intimacy disorder and to generate, right, global coherence, to generate what we call evolutionary intimacy, we need words that bind us, right? These are the words, opens one of the books of the ancient sacred text, Elu Hadvarim. These are the words. And so what we're doing in articulating the new Dharma, what we're doing in articulating the new story, is we're generating a new field of language. And each one of these words is not casual. And I wish I could say I thought of the words. I didn't think of them, right? They came down, if you will, right? They generated themselves. And I can remember each moment when a word generated. I remember when I was with Barbara Marx Hubbard and Zach Stein and Christina Kincaid. And I said, hey guys, we were in Portland. I said, let's go downstairs, right, to the apartment and let's talk. Let's find the right name. And what emerged was cosmoerotic humanism. I remember when the word amorous cosmos emerged, or the universal love story, or unique self, or evolutionary unique self, right? Or we live in a world of outrageous pain. The only response is outrageous love, or the difference between outrageous and ordinary love. It's a whole field of language. And then Barbara stepped in to this field of language, and she got the depth of the language. It's what she was excited about. And she brought with her own field of language, and we brought them together. So Barbara will talk about joining genes and not joining genius, right? Barbara will talk about, right, our crisis is a birth, right? Barbara will talk about, right, crisis is an evolutionary driver, right? Barbara borrowed the term from Uspensky. It's a great term, right? Not sex, but supra-sex. I call that eros, or reality is eros. So just notice, find the words, friends. But when you find the words, right, you got to find them deeply. Jamie and I, right, Jamie's with us today. Jamie is such a key leader, right, in the team at One Mountain. So Jamie and I talked this week. We studied. I remember, Jamie, we just talked about that one sentence. We live in a world of outrageous pain. The only response is outrageous love. And we went through all the implicit statements in that one sentence. So I just want to invite everyone. I want to invite everyone to be in study, right? Study, right? Either come, right, study in Holy of Holies, right? Study in a group that's studying one of the courses, right? Read one of the books, right? But step in so that the words have depth, right? The opposite of the holy is the superficial, right? The opposite of the sacred is the superficial, right? The words are symbols. They resonate, depth and distinction, right? And then make them yours. And once you make them yours, once you master, right? Master the words, let the words master you. Then what will happen is you'll start to add words, right? You'll start to add words, right? You'll start to generate, right? New participles, new dangling modifiers, new adjectives and adverbs, right? And together we're generating this universal grammar of value that's obvious, right? That is translatable every place, right? That is the score of the unique self symphony. Now, every religion, every wisdom stream, every nationality, right? Every group will play their unique instrument in the unique self symphony. And the symphony can be a jazz symphony, it can be an evolving symphony, but there's gotta be a shared score, because that's the nature of reality. Reality is a shared score. That actually reality is one love and one heart. It's not just that love begins at the human level and then there's different forms of human love and they all contradict each other and there's no real meaning to the word love. That's the general consensus of a vapid postmodern deconstruction. That's not correct, right? Reality is an intimate universe, and it begins with the first nanoseconds of the Big Bang, in which all of reality self-organized, right? Meaning the principle of Eros, right? That divine principle in the first 3 seconds of the Big Bang, right? Creates sets of coherent intimacies, right? That generate all of reality. And it's something we talk about a lot. Barbara's going to talk about that today in a beautiful way. Right? We live in an intimate universe. Right? It does make sense, and it's mystery. And we bow before the mystery, but the mystery dances and reveals herself and reveals glimmers of her naked truth. And part of that naked truth is the knowing that reality is at its core a love story. And the only reason we're blown away and heart-rended by evil and by suffering, because evil's a failure of intimacy, right? And that's the deepest truth of reality. And we've got to articulate it. What does love mean? We can't just use the word love. We can't just say love. No, love means something. We have to define it. We need to understand it. And we're going to work on that today. And I want to know what love is. I want to know what it means so deeply, right, that I can actually be love in action. I am evolution, and evolution is love in action. So I am love in action. So our intention today is to be the revolution, to come out of the Dharma recapitulation, right? To step into this day in which we receive the blessing of the Father, and we want to be the blessing of the Father for each other, right? And to actually enact this revolution of language. That's what Da Vinci did. He fielded a new language, and each word in the language had equations under it. Each word in the language had depth, and the interior and the exterior sciences. It's us, it's our turn. Reality is demanding that we do this. And you think it's being done in some other room, it's not. Right? It's ours to do. And anyone who wants to partner with us from anywhere around the world, it's ours to do, all of us together, right? To be the speakers of the new language. Vaidaber Adonai, and God spoke. The human being, imitatio Dei, the human being participates in divinity as we speak. Abracadabra, avracadabra. We weave the magic, the new magic, the magic of the new story through our speech. Oh my God, that's our intention, friends. So are you ready? Are we ready? Are we ready? Let's find each other in the chat box like never before. Are we ready to play a larger game? Are we ready to step beyond the contractions of ego, right? And the narrow vestiges, right, of contorted personal fulfillment, and to fulfill ourselves by being for the sake of the whole? Can we actually hold the whole thing in it? Enlightenment means not just I'm connected to the whole lives in me. Are we ready to play a larger game? Are we ready to participate, right, in the evolution of love, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So let's take it inside to Amor. Its insides are aligned with love, right? Which is the chant of every week, right? And every day and every second in the nature of reality. Amor.
Amor, 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 amor,
Thank you. Thank you for that beauty, right? Oriana and friends. I mean, thank you. So gorgeous, so beautiful. And feel the tenderness, friends. Feel the tenderness. Right? David, beloved David, who's growing his Don Johnson beard. And when we mentioned Don Johnson of Miami Vice, we date ourselves. That was also in Europe and also in America, right? Beloved David, blow us away with this code.
So good to be here on this Father's Day. Friends, let's find within us this outrageous love, find within us that evolutionary impulse. And I'm also just recognizing the gratitude I have for my father, who actually just visited the last couple of weeks. And I hope that all of us can appreciate our fathers today. So as we step into this new field of language that Marc is talking about, let's let it actually open us up, open our perception, and actually step in and be the revolution as Marc is asking us. So here's this week's evolutionary love code. Evolutionary love is not merely an emotion. It is a perception. The evolutionary lover sees with God's eyes, because love is a perception at its core, a perception that generates emotion. There is great hope in love. The universe sees, and the universe sees love. The universe feels, and the universe feels love. Seeing generates feeling, and feeling generates seeing. But we must start with the perception, because perception can be trained through practice. Human love is a unique self-perception. Self-love is a perception of one's own unique self. So with that, I turn my word back to you, beloved Dr. Marc.
Resonated gorgeously. And David's not just reading the code. So I just want everyone to understand, if that's okay, right? David's resonating the code, and David stepped into Barbara's shoes. And in Barbara, you would resonate the code every week. You would usually do it at the beginning in the first 130 weeks. And to resonate the code means that David and I rewrote the code this morning. David's feeling the code, right? He's stepping inside of it, right? And he's reading it through his own heart, right? Through his psyche, through his soul, right? Through Davidness, right? So he's resonating the code. It's our first, right, ability to kind of open to it, to resonate to it. It's music. We've been going for 245 weeks. That's actually shocking. And I've been privileged to be here every week with you. It was in my wild privilege, and Barbara was here every single week, right, until she passed. And now she's with us, right, very often. And in a real sense, Barbara said to me, let One Mountain be my home in the world when I've passed. And I promise you, I'll be there in continuity of consciousness. And Barbara's with us in continuity of consciousness and speaks often. So with that in mind, I want to add something before we go into prayer. Okay? Father's Day, right? The blessing of the Father. It's such a big deal, right? It's such a big deal. What is the blessing of the Father? Right? The blessing of the mother is, I hold you so close. You're so wildly beautiful. No matter what, right? You're always resting in my arms, right? Wherever you fall into my arms. I'm always with you, right? That's the blessing of the mother. The blessing of the Father is, right? I see you. I'm calling you, right? The Father says there are first principles and first values, and I'm going to name them and call you to align with them and call you to give your gifts in them. Mother doesn't name first principles and first values. And of course, everyone, I'm not talking here about literal mother and father. I'm talking about the quality of mother and the quality of father. And sometimes that lives in actual fathers, and sometimes it lives in actual mothers. And we need both, right? People need a father and a mother. Right? Those are critical. So the Father's about naming. The Father names first principles and first values. The Father articulates the principles and calls the Son with mad love, but also with demand, right? To actually to show up and to give her gift and to give his gift, right? And to be aligned with those first principles and first values. That's the blessing of the Father, right? And we live at a moment in time where the Father has disappeared, where we can't find the Father. We can't find the Father in culture, and we often can't find the Father in the Western world in the family. My dear friend, who's the vice president of the Center for Integral Wisdom, right, in charge of gender for the last 10 years, right, wrote a book, and we were really happy to work with him to get it published. Fantastic book called The Boy Crisis in the United States in the last, year and a half. And the book was one of the key things that the think tank wanted to incubate in. It's been in Warren for many, many years. And he's put it into the world now. And it's having enormous impact. He must have gotten some 40, 50 million viewers in different iterations of The Boy Crisis. And The Boy Crisis is, in one sense, it points out a simple fact that the common denominator in the breakdown of boys is the failure of father, that the father relationship doesn't happen. And Warren himself is madly, and the world's paradoxical. Warren himself is not a father. He's actually never had a child. He has a wonderful, right, stepchild, which is Liz's child that Warren's, right, really deeply involved with, but basically has this enormous yearning to be a father. And so his desire for father manifested this boy crisis in this gorgeous way. But it's not just the father that's missing in the family. The father's missing in culture, right? The father who says that value is not just a social construction, right? That value is real, right? I turn to the Father to name value and to point me towards value. Friends, what is the major myth? What's the major myth? The major mythic story in the last 50, 60 years in, the world. The most oft watched myth, the most oft seen story is Star Wars, without question. Star Wars. It's a mythology. Now, at the very center of Star Wars, right, you have one issue. What's the central issue in Star Wars? The Father. That's what the whole thing's about, the Father. I mean, just track that with me, friends, right? Just track that with me. It's kind of shocking and unbelievable. And Anakin Skywalker, the son of Shmi Skywalker, who's going to ultimately be seduced to the dark side. We don't know who his father is. That's the mystery of Star Wars, is we don't know who Anakin's father is. Wow. And then Anakin loses connection to his kids as he turns into Darth Vader. And then his son, Luke Skywalker, Luke, the son, realizes and is told that Darth Vader was his father. And then again, right, he goes to try and bring his father back. And in the end, at the moment in which Luke Skywalker was going to be killed, destroyed by the blue lightning of Palpatine, who's really Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord, his father steps in, and he's the father and holds him. Palpatine himself, Darth Sidious, has a teacher who's his father, Darth Plagueis, right? And he kills his father, right? When the student kills the teacher, it's the killing of the father. It's the most painful experience. We have a student that you love madly, that you hold dearly, and the student goes to kill the father. It's unimaginable. Right? The story of Judas betraying Christ is the betrayal of the father, right? So there's the father who betrays the child, but there's the child who betrays the father. And it's the restoration of the father that actually, right, when he becomes a father again, that allows Darth Vader to return and become again Anakin Skywalker. Like, wow, right? The central issue of our time is the issue of the father. And what the father has to do is not just the New Age move. The New Age move, right, is the move of the mother. It's the embrace, right? The father, right? We're left with the corrupt father of the surface structures of the religions that each argue, right, I'm the only father, right, I'm the father only to my people, but there's not a universal father, right? It's a degraded father. So we need to reclaim an evolved father, the evolutionary father. We need to reclaim the father who names first values and first principles, the father who actually names and explicitly tells a story, right? Like, wow. So we want to give each other the blessing of the Father. Okay? So today, right, instead of playing, and I want to give, and I will have time to pick this up, instead of playing the holy and the broken hallelujah, which we usually play, we're going to play a song. And if you're on Facebook, it might get muted. So just stay with us and you can find it yourself. We're going to play Fall on Me by Andrea Bocelli, which is a father-son song. It's about the blessing of the Father. So if you're on Facebook and it gets muted, that's okay. Just stay with us. Okay? Right? And then when we pray today, we're going to turn to the Father. And not the mythic Father, right? The quality of Father, right? Who is value, right? Who calls us, who demands our best, who loves us madly, right? Who names the new story, right? Who demands and needs our partnership and our alignment. And it's only when Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker come together, and when the Father and Son come together. I'll tell you something wild. The very last verse of the entire biblical story is Veheshiv lev avot al banim velev banim al avotam. Let the Father's hearts turn and transform the Son, and let the Son transform and turn to the Father. Right? The Father and the Son. And this applies to every woman and to every man. It's not about male and female. It's about the Father and the Son. We're all the Father and we're all the Son. We've talked about the blessing of the mother, and we will more. Now we're talking about the blessing of the Father. So first, for a second, if everyone can just kind of find your own Father and find the beauty of your own Father and find the disappointments, right? And forgive the ways your Father might not have been able to be a complete Father. And then receive, right, any glimmering of the blessing of the Father from your Father, but then move beyond your Father and receive the blessing of the Father from reality itself. Right? Let me bless you. Let you bless me. Let's bless each other with the blessing of the Father. So take us inside. Christina Amelin, Andrea Bocelli, David, Suzette, take us inside. Andrea Bocelli, Fall on Me, the blessing of the Father. Now feel that together, right? Father, right? We're going to turn to the Father, right? And we've so often in our own lives been betrayed by the Father, right? Where we feel, and then we feel the Father's not there. We might have been betrayed by the Father, right? In some relationship, right? Of teacher or father. We might have been betrayed by the Father, right? By a postmodern culture that told us there's no value. We might have been betrayed by that one person we trusted. So we got to move beyond the betrayal. We've got to reclaim the Father, because underneath the betrayal is love, right? That's the response of Jesus to Judas, right? The response is underneath the betrayal is love. You can only be betrayed by someone who would never betray you, but underneath the betrayal, right, is love. And it's the love of the Father. The love of the Father's always there. So friends, let's turn to the Father, right, in the chat box, right? And not the mythical Father owned by one religion, right? Not the punishing Father, the Father who loves us madly, who is value itself, who is goodness, truth, and beauty, and who says, partner with me, Son. I need you, partner with me. Son, you're God like I'm God, right? Let's be God together. We've got to be engaged in the great verb of godding, and I can't do it without you, Son. So let's turn to that Father and say, Father, bless us. Father, teach us. Father, hold us, and ask for everything, right? We're reclaiming the Father at a higher level of consciousness. So I'm in the chat box and I'll meet you there, right? Let's turning to the Father, right? Suzette, you lost your father this year, right? Right? We lose our father and we've got to reclaim the father, right? And betrayal is always a misunderstanding, right? So let's go to the beginning, okay? And I'm going to try and find it here, right? Oh my God, right? Father, right? I pray for my father, right? And sometimes we start with our personal father because that's the place we can find it, right? I pray for my father, right? Let's pray for all fathers, right? Everywhere. We have to move beyond the betrayal, right? To love. Raquel, right? Right. The father who couldn't stop, right? Who couldn't stop, right? Right. I reclaim the father, right? And I go underneath the betrayal, right? Jackie, the father who loves us so madly, right? Christina Amelon, I pray for my dad's health and well-being. Terry Nelson, right? I pray that I have compassion, right? For my dad, right? Who was not loved well when he was young. And Raquel, right? For all the fathers who are chasing and not blessing, right? And Becca, betrayals and misunderstanding. Timothy, right? Father, bless me to know you. Vashti, I pray with all my heart, right? Whatever the cause, right? Whatever, let me just find it exactly, Vashti. I pray with all my heart, and whatever the cause, love of my life, as an evolving expression of Eros, that I'm completely free of all itching in my body. Amen. All right, Shanti, I pray for all people to hear and feel the call of the Father to help others live fully again in Eros. Rob, oh Father, I pray for the light of truth may penetrate hearts forever. Right? Oh, my Ugas, love you, Father. I just straight love you, Father. Right? Jacqueline, I pray to clearly hear what the Father is asking of me. I pray for my sweet Father. Oots, you've got so much Father energy, Oots, right? And the Father holds you. I pray for the pure love relationship to my Father, right? Abrachame, right? Xochitl, Father, Mother, Love, God, Goddess, right? Michael T, right? And oh my God, right? Michael T, wow, Mark, stop it, generating my heart, right? Let's penetrate each other's hearts, brother, all the way. Ugas, right? I pray that we can realize a win-win coherent intimacy, right? Tom, right? Father, into your hands, I command my being, right? Tom, you pray for all of us, right? Into my hands, I command my being. And I went yesterday with Christina to get new glasses. So I apologize that I'm so close to the screen, right? So I need new glasses. Margie, Amor, Father, right? Moving beyond betrayal. Myra, our Father, right? You are the Father, right? Simona, I pray for your blessing, Father, right? Suzette, I pray for my father and all those that have been a father to me, right? Inika, I pray for all the fathers and my godfather to teach me, to show me, right? To be value. Ariana, right? I pray to receive the Father as the mother who receives the life of the world. Shahati, blessing my father who worked so very hard for us kids and gave us what he could, and I didn't know how to, right? I didn't know how to bless him before. Who wasn't able to bless the Father until now? Right? Who was alienated from the Father? Who couldn't find the Father? Right? Who doesn't know that the Father needs our blessing like we need the blessing of the Father, right? Father. And Michael, my dad passed away 2 years ago. Never love him outrageously in practice, just starting to now in his physical absence. Kathy, may I forgive my father for his abuse and neglect, and have compassion for all fathers throughout the world. And I pray for all fathers, bless my father and the father in each of us. Kirsten, thinking and praying for my own beautiful father who died way too young. I'm older now than he was when he died, right? Oh my God. I pray to respond to the Father's call for the gift of my dad, right? Right? Oh my God, right? Please send to, right? Oh my God, right? It's the blessing of the Father, my friends. Oh my God, right? The blessing of the Father. I want to set up what Barbara's going to talk about. Barbara and I talked about this so many times before, and I want to try and give you the frame, and then Barbara's going to step in. The basic movement of the awake human being is to be able to step out of my narrow perspective, to move from what we call in the interior sciences, from our side to his side. We could also say from our side to her side, but this week is the Father. So it's from mitzidenu in the original language, in one of the traditions, from our side to his side. And I want to see with God's eyes. So evolutionary love in the code is a perception. We're going to come back even deeper to the code next week. But for now, right, love's not merely an emotion, it's a perception. And to be a lover is to see with God's eyes. It's to see what God sees. It's to actually experience God in the first moment of the Big Bang, right? The Father who organizes all reality in the first 3 seconds of the Big Bang in coherent laws of value, and then creates the value of allurement that links subatomic particles all the way up the evolutionary chain, right? The God who, right, who is the Father who brings together through the inseminated seed, right, the baby, right, who goes through all the stages of evolution in the womb, right, to actually see that, to feel all that happening, to step out of my narrow perspective. That's what it means to be a lover. The divine, the original Father, the original lover, the original self-organizing force of reality. So we turn to Barbara Marx Hubbard, right, to move from our side to his side and to take this to the next level. Beloved Barbara, take us inside, love.
If this is a love story and God is the original lover that is activating this love story in every one of us, I have always this perspective deep inside my soul, which is looking back before the Big Bang into the universal process of creation itself, eternally present. And then that impulse, the first impulse in the love story, out of the field comes the force, which is what we're feeling right in us now, that force. Out of the field of eternal universal consciousness comes the force that is so exquisitely designed in that first 3 seconds, they say, of the Big Bang, in which energy, matter, and life was given its original structure. So we're now feeling God, infinite, coming into Big Bang and feeling, if we want to feel, Marc, the power of love alive in us all these billions of years later, let's take it from that love that was able to structure it all immediately in a few seconds. And then let's allow ourselves to go with God through the quarks being attracted to the quarks, the electrons to the electrons, the protons, the cells, the multicells, and let's feel the allurement as the center and source of the multi-billion years from the Big Bang. Think of that love that attracted every single particle to every other particle to create newness through what we're now calling vocational arousal. So we can imagine the quarks, the electrons, the protons, the single cells running out of energy in the seas of Earth, suddenly realizing they have to be attracted to each other to gain that solar energy and to repopulate the entire world through reproduction, through joining together to reproduce each other. And eventually it became reproduction through love. It became sexuality. Amazing gift on just this one planet, not only to keep all of the rest of life alive, but to reproduce the human species through love. And through the most awesome process of joining genes with an egg that then starts to flourish itself as a person that is you, that actually went through in the womb the entire story of creation, from being a single cell to being a multi-cell to being a little animal to being a little fish and all of that, and now it pops out as you with all of that coded inside you. And you have to be a child, and you go through all of that, and you go through your childhood, and then you go through the stage that we're at right now. And I'd like to just experience from the origin of creation, us at this very, very key point in human evolution on this planet, when it's perfectly obvious that our planetary system cannot continue to grow as it has been growing. And it's produced a set of humans at this exact shift point exact shift point in all those billions of years when God, the creator, has to create the co-creators. If we're going to take it like those single cells became multi-cells, if we're going to take it from the devolution of our species to that quantum jump to the evolution of our species, what's happening to God inside us? If God is the lover going through the entire process of creation, and let's now tune into God at the exact moment when each of us can say, I am evolution, become conscious of itself. I am God, creator, becoming co-creator. I am filled with that unique creativity that has within it the power of the entire story, the Big Bang, all the way on up. When Marc says the universe, a love story, that's a beautiful sentence. But if you try to manage it, if you try to manage that as a management issue for God, and now he's coming forth as you, what I'd like to share is how is God most clearly showing up right now as you? At the threshold of devolution or evolution and conscious evolution, in the first church of evolutionary consciousness come alive, the first time ever, as far as I know, the evolutionary church of co-creation, of consciously evolving love. Well, it comes out, this is what's so beautiful, the uniqueness in Marc's language and the evolutionary uniqueness. And then I'd like to add to this that in order for our evolutionary uniqueness to fully manifest itself, we have to find the right form of joining genius. We have to, just like we had to find the right form to join genes to do this remarkable story that was able to create all of our lives, we now, I believe, are involved in a story and a discovery as great as the discovery of sexuality, which is the discovery of suprasexuality, of the lovers that each of us is, finding the genius joining that is more precisely capable of then evolving you and me and us into new humans. I don't think we get to be conscious evolutionary new humans as individuals alone. So the joining of genius in evolutionary love is a manifestation of your, not just your genetic code, your genius code, if you think of it for a moment. Everybody's genius code, uniquely their own, joining with somebody else's genius code, uniquely their own, creating a fusion of mimetic rather than genetic coding to create in you and me and us a new human, a new culture through love. But the love of joining genius, I'm putting in the entire love story as, in some respect, the pinnacle of us alive now is the joining of that genius to create the new. And I'll just conclude with the thought that the evolutionary church is the best site we could have all together to join genius.
What Barbara's talking about is, right, and it's now the top of the hour. What Barbara said is, become the Father. She wasn't in the Father's Day mode, but what she was describing is where I actually see what God sees. I take God's perspective. I can actually see the entire process from the first moments of the Big Bang. I can see the big picture, and I actually join genius with the divine. I join not just genes, but genius with you. And I'm actually able to say, I am the co-creator. There's not just the one Father. The one Father lives in all of us, and we become together the Father. And so we stand for culture. We stand for the evolution of the source code itself of consciousness and culture. We write the new code. We become, that's what it means to evolve the source code. It means we're not just on the desktop. We're writing the new code. We're becoming the Father, right? There's a new Big Bang. And this new Big Bang, the new human and the new humanity is born. We're going to go a billion times even deeper next week. We just got started. But right now, we're going to close with two brilliant goddesses, right? They're going to tell us like wildly important things. They're going to take us the next step. Oh my God, Shahat, tell us, give us 2 minutes on the festival, and Krista, take us home. We got a big summer. Shahati, thank you.
Hello, friends. 41 days to go before the festival starts. And from now on, Claire or me will be with you every week to tell you some of the specifics. Because next to amazing teachings by Marc on the greatest love story ever told, you will be invited to a full program that can be followed through all the time zones directly, but also you'll find it in recordings on our website. And there are workshops by some great teachers. And Claire and I gave a little taste on that a few weeks ago. There will be silent meditation, Qigong. I will be holding evolutionary satsang every morning. Then there will be an amazing art exhibition on Eros. We will invite you into evolutionary families. There will be lunch cafes, there is dance, there is so much. The dance party will be there, and you will meet great people. So our Dharma and our first principles and first values are embedded in a big frame that helps you to integrate and practice the beautiful Dharma that will be delivering to you. Next to that, you'll have an amazing week, I am sure. So Krista, take us home.
Thank you, Shahat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, beloved Marc. Thank you, Barbara. And thank us all for showing up here every week. And let's feel each other and let's feel that powerful invitation to co-create with the divine. And in that way, we are all invited to co-create our revolution here together. It doesn't belong to one person here, it belongs to all of us. So feel the invitation of the Father, of God, inviting you, calling you, demanding you to step in even more, even more, even more. I feel this pulsing evolutionary power in me more and more every day, and it is demanding. And every day I ask myself, how can I be more? How can I give more? How can I step in more? And it's a beautiful, amazing experience to say yes to that more and more and more. So this is my invitation for you today to step in, sign up for the Outrageous Love Festival. This is the place to be. Every year we meet there from all over the world, and it's a deep, deep, deep dive into the Dharma. Imagine we are doing this now every week for 1 hour, but imagine what can happen if we spend 5 days together receiving hours of teachings from Marc every day, but also embodying it, practicing it, being together in it. It is truly, as someone said, a taste of an enlightened society. And this is what we are called to do and to become together. And another way to become a part of this is, of course, to become a member of One Mountain and to sign up for membership. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. And we are all invited to give as much as we can, but you can actually choose your own contribution. If you scroll down here, you can see all the benefits of membership, but of course the best benefit is that you are making a contribution to this revolution, and you can choose your own amount, as I said before. And if you scroll down, you can find all the courses you will get access to as soon as you sign up for membership. These are 9 in-depth courses. All of them are valued at $297, but as a member, you get them all. And you also get access to our study groups. Right now, we are studying Pleasure Map together. These are just students studying together and sharing in the bliss of the Dharma together. So please come closer, become a part of this revolution, and step in as deep as you can. And speaking of stepping in deep and loving deeply, let's end together with our revolutionary song, How Deep Is Your Love?
I want you to breathe me.